All right, a couple highlights from the chat room today. The reason I'm making this video is because it just tongue and grooves with a recent video I made talking about intraday shape up into resistance. It's a great short setup, and actually my two best trades today both met those parameters. This one was best, FAST. Now one of our members, initials RM, pointed this out to me. I wasn't even watching FAST. That's kind of the nature of the chat room, though. People kind of chip in and spot what they see that meets our parameters. You can kind of loosely connect I probably should use a line tool here. Let me try that again. Loosely connect the bottoms of these 5-minute candles, right? And then you had a little bit of a hiccup there, and then you had almost straight up. I mean, it's subtle to see the shape change, but it's always accompanied by increasing volume. This by itself is already interesting, okay? Just on an intraday basis, no matter what the daily chart looks like, you've got that. And see how this 5-minute candle is longer than this one, and so on. So it's kind of increasing, increasing in velocity to the upside. So is the volume. So at this point, you're starting to get people chasing, okay? And those are pretty weak hands, and they're the ones that go, oh man, what did I just do? And start to sell real quick when things go bad. I'll add one more candle here. And now it looks really good for a short. Okay, now couple that with the daily chart here. Already you can see what happened because you can see it's got a topping tail. But you're up 1, 2, 3, 4. So today's the 5th day up in a row, up into the November highs, right? So 5 days up, and then on an intraday basis, people are starting to chase up near that resistance. That's a perfect short setup. Let me go back to 5-minute candles. I simply called a short below this candle. But again, I wouldn't have seen it if it wasn't for RM, which made the entry 51.72 and a 51.94 stop, so 22 cents risk, and you can see what happened. Just pretty much sold off all day with the exception of that little bounce at the end. Very, very nice. Learn that setup because it's very profitable, and I still, even though the market's gotten back up to all-time highs, I trade every day, guys. I still, how do I word it? I still feel like a top is near, okay? And these shorts, maybe it's a little telling that my two best trades today were both shorts. But learn that. That's a great setup and a nice heads up by RM. The other one was ADTN. Not quite as clean, and that's because of the daily chart. But you can connect the candles, then you had a base, and then you had grinding higher again, so you can see the shape, but then you really get the shape on that last candle. See how this candle here, right, this candle is longer than the 5 or 6 that preceded it. So and you can see nice volume again, strong volume, so you're starting to get that shape change. Now we didn't quite get to recent highs, but it was pretty close to a trend line in the whole number 27. Let me go to the daily chart, and again you can tell that it did reverse because you've got the topping tail there, but let's get kind of, I don't know if it quite got to that trend line, right? Well, depending on exactly where you draw, you can almost always make a trend line work. If you ignore that topping tail there, it was right at a trend line. And I did say that. I said, well, this is up near a trend line and has had issues anytime it got over 27, right? Over 27 there, over 27 there, and this whole area here. So it definitely gets some selling. So anyway, it made sense. Let's go back to 5-minute candles. And just called the same setup. Reverse 5 is what we call it. Short below this candle, 26.65, 26.78 stop. So what is that, 13 cents risk? And that one sold off pretty much the rest of the day too. Went down to, what am I saying, 13, sorry, 26.65. I don't know where that came from. It's been a long day. 26.65 with a stop 13 cents above. Maybe that's where I got the 13 from. Anyway, and it went down to 26.09 right there at the close, and that was a nice alert by Stevie B. Keep your eyes on these shorts. They're working great. One other thing, one quick note. If you want to play these and you want kind of a really relaxed way to play them, when you identify one, make sure it makes sense. Make sure it's got shape change up into resistance. And then you get that red 5-minute candle. If you want to play it and really relax while you play it, cut your position size down. Cut it down to half what you normally would. What I tell people all the time is you can just take a small position. Say you normally take 1,000 shares. You go 500 shares and use an arbitrary 30-cent stop, because sometimes you get this red candle it'll sell off a bit and then it'll push up again. But the 30-cent stop generally will keep you in. And if you do get stopped out and it's 500 shares, you're going to lose 150 bucks. So you can adjust those numbers to be within your personal pain threshold. I just arbitrarily chose 500 shares, but it could be 100, it could be 2,000, depending on what kind of trader you are, right? But that is one way to handle it, because you might say, well, why don't you just take the stop out and then play it again if it sets up? And that's another way to do it too. It's all on how your personality is. If you want to trade in a relaxed frame, cut your position size down, take the short, give it 30 cents, and if your position size is small enough that 30 cents you don't give a crud, right? Then that's a nice relaxed way to trade. And then you either just cover at the end of the day or cover into if you get a big push down, FAST. Let's go back to that real quick. Generally, if I was in it short here, took the short here and then it based for a while, and then you got that push down, that might be a place. Or if it got down to the whole number, that might be a place. Just cover at a logical place. But there's nothing wrong with taking a matter of fact, it's a great way to learn to trade if you're a newer trader. Take a smaller position size, arbitrary 30-cent stop, and that way you can trade relaxed. And really, the only way to learn to trade is in a relaxed frame of mind. And if you're trading too big, you can't do that. So there's a little tip for you. It worked for me when I caught myself trading too big, and it's much more fun to trade relaxed. You can get bigger as you go, or as you get more comfortable, or as you identify the really high potential setups. Then maybe you go a little bigger, or find ways to add when it's moving in your favor. All right, I'm going to quit babbling. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.